Today we're going to be checking out the KSR Orion 45 amplifier. So I am super stoked about this to finally have a proper KSR amplifier on the channel. I've loved KSR. I've had the KSR PA50, as you can see right behind me on the channel, a ton for basically all of my preamp videos since I picked it up. I have one of their 412 cabs that my Ingalls Savage and my Friedman sit on top of. I've demoed the Eros Overdrive in the past and the Saris I've had on the channel before, but I've always wanted to have one of Kyle's actual amplifiers. I've gotten to play some of his amps at like NAMM and other places before, notably the Gemini. I just absolutely adore that amp. I've loved that amp for a really long time, and you know, he's, in my opinion, one of the best, if not the best, but one of the best for sure, high gain amp builders, you know, modern high gain amp builders around today. And I don't think that he gets enough recognition or credit. Kyle is an absolute beast of an amp designer and builder, not to mention a pretty nice dude from the couple of times I've gotten to meet him. So that brings me to the Orion 45, their new amplifier, their new kind of lunchbox 45 watt style head. Now, there's a ton of different features on this thing, so I just want to, you know, kind of go into it, try and go through all of this, and then get to the tones, because that's what everybody wants to hear. So this is 4 channels, kind of. They say that it's a little cheeky. They say 4.2, and that's because there's a high and low switch for the clean channel, which will absolutely take it from a clean to a pretty overdriven crunch really, really quickly. Each of the channels has their own independent gains, volumes. They each have a bright switch, and then the clean and the crunch share an EQ, as well as both lead channels. The clean they recommend with a Strat or some with single coils. I definitely get that. It's very jangly, very pretty, very stringy sounding. And then the crunch is cool. It's 3 gain stages, which is kind of like an old style Marshall, like an 80s, 70s Marshall, I think like JCM 800 kind of thing. And you can push that pretty hard. And if you smack it with an overdrive, that'll get you into especially like old school metal territory and like thrash metal. And some people might actually prefer that, you know, kind of crank the bass and the gain a little bit, smack it with an overdrive. All of a sudden you got this pretty rad, dry metal tone. Then there's both the lead channels. Now, lead 1 and lead 2, the difference essentially between them is lead 1 is a bit more dry, a bit more wide. I think it takes an overdrive better. I think it really suits an overdrive well to tighten up and get more aggressive. And then lead 2, I feel like, is more like the lead guitar, like solo channel. It's definitely got a lot more harmonic content. It's definitely a lot kind of more saturated too, the more you turn up the gain. And I think that one really does feel better for like lead style playing, or if you're going to be doing more kind of not boosted, more kind of just saturated and you just want to plug straight in, definitely lead 2 is the way to go as well. Now the bright control does exactly what it says. It brightens it up, but more than that, it adds top end saturation, and kind of because there's more saturation going on the low or the top end, you're not hearing it as much on the low end, so it kind of gives this perception of more tightness. And I definitely like that. I want a tighter tone for sure, and I want a more cutting present tone. So especially for the gain channels, those are just on all the time. The EQs are really powerful on this thing, and it really controls, especially like the gain you'll hear in the out of mix examples. When you like dial back that low end, it definitely gets a lot drier, a lot less gainy. Same with the mid-range, like just massively controls how this thing sounds. Some amps, you kind of turn something, you're not really doing much with the knobs. Definitely not on this amp. You mess with the EQs, you definitely notice it in a hurry. And then the power section is really familiar for anyone that's seen me use my PA50 or that has a PA50 themselves. It's got the top and bottom controls, which are essentially going to control kind of like presence and resonance, but then it also has the negative feedback control, the NFB, and essentially that kind of goes for, again, it controls the negative feedback on the power amplifier, but I'm trying to kind of explain it. Like, you get more pick attack. It kind of goes from being more aggressive sounding to more smoothed out when you go back and forth with the knob, and you'll kind of hear that when I mess with it in the out of mix. So some other features, if you get it with the foot switch, which I was loaned this and it didn't come with the foot switch, you can kind of go between the channels. Otherwise, there's some switches to go between stuff in the back. There's also switches to control the RGB, the different colors for the KSR logo. I just kept it simple, so when it's on lead 1 and crunch, it's glowing white, and when it's on lead 2 and crunch, it's glowing white, and when it's on lead 1 and clean, it doesn't glow at all. I just wanted to keep it really simple for the demo, so it was clear where I was. It's got a built-in dummy load, so you can play or record silently. That way you don't have to go into a crank cab for recording, or if you just want to go to the front of house or into an IR into the front of house for a show, you can do that, and it comes built in, so it's nothing extra that you need with the amplifier. It's also compatible with the MIDI switch that KSR used, so you can program it, which is also really good for live players. There's just so many different options, not to mention there's a ton of different color options. They have a bunch of cool different color combos they've made of this already that look really sick. And finally, just before I go into the in and out of mix, so it has 5 12EX7s, so the lead channels are 5 gain stages. The crunch channel is only 3, and then for the power section you can either do EL34s or 6L6 GCs, and this has the 6L6s in it. Anyway, I think I've covered everything there. I might have missed something. Like I said, it has a bunch of features, but that's absolutely enough talking about it. We're gonna hear this. I'm gonna plug my Schecter Cam Mark III with the Keith Merrow Fishmans that he had with those into the amplifier. They were cool enough to send over one of the prototype Eros pedals too, so I could show off how it sounds boosted. And like I said, I really like it boosted into that lead 1. So for all the rhythm tones we're going to hear in the in mix, it's going to be this amp boosted with the Eros with the settings I have up on screen. And that's going to be going into my 2 Notes Captor X with a IR blend of a DV77 and VM1265. Then we'll hear it out of mix, all on that same setup, and I'll put on the screen whenever I turn on and off the boost, although it'll be pretty obvious. Let's check it out. I swear, Kyle never disappoints. Everything he ever makes that I demo, whether it's a pedal, his power amp, his cabinet, anytime I've played, one of his amps and been lucky enough to do that, he just nails it. It just works out. Like that negative feedback control, I wish more amplifiers had that. It really just allows you to further tailor it to how it feels and sounds and responds for you. That EQ, like I said, is super powerful. I love how lead 1 takes a boost. Lead 2 is super just harmonically rich and saturated and just feels good to play, especially those big, huge chords. It sounded really good on. The crunch channel is a great crunch channel. Do old school rock all day. And then if you turn it up and smack it with an overdrive, you can do old school metal. And the clean channel's, pretty jangly. Definitely, I feel like it does better with single coils. Modern pickups tend to kind of overpowered a little bit there, but that's okay. It's really, really glassy and pretty on its own. Just again, single coils might be the way to go with that, or maybe like a PAF or maybe a coil split, something like that. I just think that he really nailed it with this. I'd like to know your opinions. I'm gonna have a link down below if you want to check this out. See if you want to get one customized yourself. Thanks for watching. Stay metal.